Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman calling out fellow Democrats for leaving him thanks to their progressive policies. Fetterman telling the New York Post, quote, "It's not so much that I left the title left me. Increasingly, progressives moved and migrated into some positions that I don't agree with, and I really just feel much more comfortable being just a Democrat. We have a crisis at our border, and it can't be controversial that we should have a secure border." The senator notably was rocking his iconic hoodie and shorts after the now famous Post cover last year. The man in that photo next to Senator John Fetterman is the New York Post columnist John Levine. He spoke with the senator. He gave those quotes to the senator in an exclusive with the Post. And John joins us now in his Fetterman outfit.
In the full Fetterman. I can't believe we're still doing this.
Which you're telling me he likes the whole full Fetterman.
He got a huge kick out of our original story where I wore this to different restaurants and got kicked out of in September. And, you know, his chief of staff said, you know, he's a Post reader. He thought a huge kick out of it. You got to come down and, you know, meet him and do an interview. And obviously international events interceded, but we eventually did it. And now you can read it on the front page of the Post today.
So you went down at their invitation.
Oh, yeah. I didn't crash the office. So I showed up, I came down, and it was a very nice, cordial 30-minute interview. And I found him to be a very, very thoughtful person, a very independent thinking person. And frankly, he appeared to me almost fully recovered from his stroke. And I know a lot of people in D.C. who are a lot less lucid than him who haven't had a stroke.
Yeah. I actually was going to ask you that, which on the surface seems trivial or superficial, but it's not.
Right.
How was the interaction, you know, in terms of mental acuity or physical nature for him when you were talking to him? There was a period of time where he had to read questions on a computer screen. Right. What's the interaction like at this moment?
He still uses captioning software to help him understand questions. But the fact of the matter is he speaks in a very fluid way. His thinking is very agile. And he's recovered enough to be able to stand up to his own party.
Yeah.
And whether it comes to things like immigration or Israel or things like defund the police, they're all issues where he said he really disagreed with progressives now.
Here's part of what he told you. He said that nation, speaking of Israel, is most reflective of the kinds of open, progressive, liberal policies. And it's a strange paradox where the most progressive members of our party seem to not recognize that Israel is a nation that supports those values. What's going on in your estimation, John? You spent a half hour with him. Has he always been like this? Has he always been independent? Has he never been someone interested in remaining at the cool kids table of the progressive caucus? What's going on with John Fetterman?
What's fascinating is he said he was a progressive his whole career. You can look at the tweets. I'm the most progressive candidate in this race. I love Bernie Sanders. And now all of a sudden, he doesn't want to know from progressives. And he would say, you know, I didn't change. The background changed. They left me. They got crazy. Progressives used to love Israel. And Israel was a bipartisan issue. It was not controversial. Then October 7th happens, and he said he was stunned by the reaction he saw. And all of a sudden, you have people chanting how much they love Hamas or From the River to the Sea, which is a call for genocide, which now even members of Congress are saying stuff like this. And I think there's some truth to what he's saying. He didn't change on Israel. He's always been a pro-Israel.
I'm glad that you clarified on Israel, because it did sort of seem to open a Pandora's box of issues for him that are surprising, though. The immigration one is a real departure from his party. And I don't know that we could say, I honestly, I say this in all honesty, I don't know what was his position for years before this.
No, immigration's a fascinating one. I would draw your attention to Bernie Sanders. I remember Bernie Sanders talking to like Lou Dobbs 15 years ago on his CNN show talking about illegal immigration. As late as 2016, he called illegal immigration a Koch brothers plot. You can go look up that interview on Vox, V-O-X. So progressives used to be a lot tougher on immigration. It started to change around the early time of Donald Trump, because obviously anything Trump is in favor of, they have to be against. But I think in many ways he embodies a lot of old-time traditional progressive views on illegal immigration, and he wants a secure border. He will be the first to tell you that 300,000 migrants came across. Migrant encounters were documented in December. That's more than the population of Pittsburgh every single month. So he calls it a crisis, and he would like more Democrats to call it a crisis as well.
Well, he's got our attention. He is interesting. It doesn't mean we're going to agree on everything, but now I'm more interested in the things to be said by John Fetterman. And by the way, you can read more of everything that he said in the New York Post and John's interview with Senator Fetterman. John, great to see you.
Thank you.
Thanks for dressing up, as always.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.